what else do we have for the people? Anything?
I'm developing.
I literally have nothing else on my thing. Well, I actually do have something, but it's the one thing that's been there for weeks now. Okay, tell us about your card game.
I finished all of the rules of my card game, and now I'm actually making the cards.
What kind of card game? Is it like Rummy? Is it like,
No, it's
Spades?
like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. It's a trading card game.
There you go. Good job. Trading card game. Rummy. Rummy, you play with
It's not a
standard 52 card deck.
A 52 card deck game. In my game, you have your deck can be 60 cards or 40 cards, and everything in between them.
So did you write all this up?
Yeah, all my rules are already written, and I have.
Have you played
most
it?
of the abilities? No, because I haven't printed any of the cards, so I can do a test. And I don't have enough cards to even make a 40 card deck yet.
He's working
How many cards do you have?
Let's see.
Okay. You don't know. Shouldn't you know? You're not going to count them one by one, are you?
7.
You have 7 cards?
Yes.
So we'll get this deck sometime in 2030.
Well, he has to draw each image, and then...
Yeah, but he's only drawing one image for each card.
Yeah, but that's 60 images.
I
don't see the problem.
I've done 2 new cards. I did one yesterday and on Thursday.
You could have this all done in Grand Rapids.
No, I was writing up the rules and stuff.
I don't want to hear that.
But then I took some older... What I did was I went back through all of my old sketches that I never did anything with and picked out the ones that could be used for cards, and now I'm developing those. So I don't have to come up with a completely new thing. I already have some sort of base. And I took 5 existing pictures and made those into cards. So I've got a plan. It's happening. I was drawing just this morning.
Before a plan.
Before the podcast I was doing.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Alright. What else we got?
That was all.
Karen?
I don't have anything else. It's been a quiet week. I've had to stay in the bed most of the week.
Where are you gonna go?
We're on quarantine.
I know.
We essentially don't leave.
We're on quarantine.
I couldn't sit up. I'm not
don't
supposed to
have
be sitting up.
You don't have really another place to sit other than where you are right now, and then you're super in the way. What else were you gonna do?
Well, I didn't have to lay down, but now I have to lay down.
I don't understand though. What's the difference? You're still in the bed because we don't have a whole. Well, you have that chair. You could be sitting in that.
No,
chair.
this is Keegan's spot. She sits in
No,
this
she
chair.
can sit on the bed just like you can sit in that chair, and you can swap and switch and all that kind of good stuff. So you have a choice of a chair and a bed. Keegan has a choice of a chair and a bed. Aaron has a choice of a chair and a bed. You just guys have to share the chair. Because I don't have a choice of the bed.
Nope.
I can't sit on the bed.
I can't.
It causes much pain for me to sit on the bed.
I don't like to, but I can.
So, I sit in the chair.
Alright, one thing.
Yes, I'm listening.
No, you're one thing.
Oh, you want me to...
Putting off for weeks.
Oh, you really want to do that?
You gotta do it.
Okay.
Hit it, man.
Can anyone but white folks even be racist?
Yep.
Talk amongst yourselves. What?
Yes.
Oh, you better get in. You better justify your answer.
Have you not been to China?
No. Well,
Thank you.
racist.
Yeah, they're racist against anybody who is dark.
That's not
That's
racism.
No.
That's not racism.
way
That's
that-
colorism.
Okay, so
Hence the racist.
after COVID, which started in China because of a Chinese person eating a bat.
Okay.
That's how it started.
At least that's the story that's going around. That's the story, and we're sticking to it.
After China started opening back up, they started discriminating against Africans living in China.
Yes, that's not racism. That's called discrimination.
They started black folks, period. Not just from Africa, but from any other country. So there was an article about this CBA player who was an American basketball player living in China with his son. He got booted from his apartment because he's black and therefore he carries COVID naturally. And he spent 2 weeks trying to find a new place to live. When he finally found a place to live that would rent to him, one of the neighbors started plastering the complex, which the complex had 17,000 people in it. Started plastering the complex with flyers saying that this owner of this apartment only cared about money and didn't care about the Chinese people's health because he was letting a black man live in the building.
Okay.
So, tell me
Where's
that's
the
not racism. He's black.
Okay.
He's being discriminated against because he's black. He's being forced out of his home and his job because of his skin color and his ethnicity. Has nothing to do with his nationality. How is that
Racism has nothing to do with nationality.
How is that not racism?
What is racism?
Let's go see what the OED says.
Because
I think racism is
Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race,
Right,
based
now,
on
what is
belief
race?
that their own
Yeah.
race
stop. What is
is
race?
superior.
What is race? Just seriously, look it up. What is race? See, this is where the problem comes in whenever you talk about racism, because we have these terms that actually have no meaning. Race and racism they're not things that really exist. Discrimination exists. Colorism definitely exists. Being discriminatory based on someone's ethnicity, yes, absolutely, or nationality, or gender, or sexual orientation, or age, all of those things are discrimination. Okay, go.
This says each of the major divisions of humankind having distinct physical characteristics, people of all races, colors, and creeds.
Yeah, that's not a definition.
That is the definition. That's what it says.
Yes, okay. So
There's no such thing as
I
a
think
different race of human.
that's
That's not a thing.
part of the issue that we got going on here.
The only
is-
way you could be
Now-
racist is discriminates against a cat for being a cat. That's the only way to
well,
really be racist.
from humans to non-human.
Yes. That's the only
Okay.
way to do it.
But here's the issue. Let's just be very specific to the United States of America and the people that live there. Americans.
Merc.
Now, can white folks in the United States of America be racist? Yes or no? Based on all the stuff you just read, is that a possibility?
Yep.
Okay. Now,
It's a happening.
can Latinos in the United States of America be racist?
Sure.
How? Remember, we're dealing with a specific kind of construct. The United States of America.
Okay.
So why is it that can Latinos be discriminatory?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. But are they being discriminatory because of an idea of race, or are they being discriminatory based on something else, like you don't speak Spanish?
Maybe both. I'm not Latino or Latina.
Both statements are true. See, there's been a common wisdom for lots of reasons, and I'm just not going to talk about it. There's
Talk about it.
common wisdom that only white people in America can be racist.
That's not true.
Not the only people that can be discriminatory, but the only people that can be racist due to the power dynamic in white supremacy inside of the United States of America. So that's the reason why people will say, and they're saying it now because of all of the stuff that's happening in the news, that white folks are the only people that can be racist.
That's like saying every white person is racist.
No, it is not. The only people that can be.
No.
In other words, you can be smart, but everybody's not smart. You can be in the KKK, but not all white people are in the KKK. You have the ability to be. In other words, white privilege, there's only one kind of privilege.
That's
White privilege.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? Just like male privilege for white males. But you see what I'm saying? Okay. So can black folks in America be racist?
That's not what you asked originally.
Well, I sort of did. I basically said,
it more
can
generally.
anyone, except for white folks, be racist? Period.
Yes, they can.
Can anyone but white folks even be racist? And I was talking about within the context of the United States of America.
I'd say no.
So a Chinese person inside of the United States of America, are they ever going to be able to be racist?
Sure.
How?
No.
Explain.
If a Chinese person identifies themselves as a white person,
It doesn't matter what you identify yourself as if you're not that thing.
if you identify yourself as a white person,
It's not like gender.
and
it's
your
not-
mentality
Mm-mm.
is
No.
I am white and they are not, and I am better because I am white.
No, but you still don't get the privilege. You still don't have any of the things, the trappings of whiteness. You can say you are, just like you can walk around and say you're a fucking, you're a gopher, but that doesn't mean that you get to live with the gophers.
I'm a dragon.
It's true. It's not
So
about
you're telling me-
self-identification is what I'm
You're
saying.
telling me that that no person of color in the U.S. can be racist.
No, I'm posing the question, can any person of color, that means no white folks, can a person of color even be racist?
Yes.
Because
I'd say
how?
I'd say no.
See, you keep saying yes to the question, but you're not explaining
Okay,
how that dynamic even
if
works.
the-
How can they be?
if the
Not
definition-
can they be discriminatory?
If the definition of racism is discriminatory based on someone's color, yes, they can
But
be.
then
But
what's
isn't
the
there-
definition of colorism?
Wait, stop. Isn't there a dynamic inside of the United States that has to do with power? That's what white supremacy is. It's
Okay.
a powerlessness that people of color, black folks, all the other people from all the other places in the world, that they don't have. They don't have the power as a collective group to do anything to hurt white folks in the side of the United States of America. Not as a group, and not even as everybody, and even though there are more people of color inside of the United States than there are white folks are a minority if you just did
color.
brown versus white. But that's irrelevant because there's a white supremacy and a legacy of slavery and discrimination and pushing people out like they did the Chinese, locking people up like they did the Japanese, trying to keep out the Jew, blah 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 blah. Yeah, most Jewish people are not white people. So no, he's gonna eat them. He's just gonna eat his fingers. It's fine. He won't have nails in it. He's just gonna eat them out. Have little nubs. So and it's very interesting because I don't think let's just use white folks and black folks because this is where this always starts. It never starts with white folks and any other group. It's always white folks and black folks. Among black thinkers, black folks basically can't be racist.
Yeah.
Okay, it's essentially an impossibility because they don't have the power that can back up that ideology, if it is in fact that. Inside of the United States, they are just unable to bring to fruition what's necessary to be racist. In other words, if black folks didn't want people to live in their neighborhood, they can't stop them. We see it with gentrification, where my mother is right now. You see it. The white folks are just moving in droves into this area. All the property values are going up, blah, blah, blah. All the trappings of gentrification. Whereas when we were there 9 years ago, white folks didn't even drive through the area.
Yeah, that's the fact.
They drove around the area.
Yeah.
So, okay. That dynamic of the people that are there have no power to keep people out, to stop something, to do anything, because the systems, and this is where we start talking about systemic racism, the systems are designed to uphold one kind of way of living, which is white supremacy, and that's it. So, white folks want to move over there. I mean, somebody made a joke about this. A comedian was talking about Harlem. He was like, there are places that I never walked down, and I grew up here. I grew up in Harlem, and I couldn't even walk down these streets without something happening, some kind of altercation or something. All it took was a few white girls to move in, and next thing you know, the streets are totally safe now. That idea, that thing, that kind of power that is backed up by the city government, the state government, the police, the blah, 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 blah. Whereas, in the case of Breonna Taylor, you're not even safe in your own home, in your own bed. You know? The police don't announce themselves. The boyfriend shoots because he thinks that they're being attacked, which you're supposed to be able to do. You're supposed to be able to protect your home, where you live, and then they killed her, and the people next door, their walls get more justice than Breonna does? Really?
Yeah.
So, is racism the way we see it inside of the United States of America? Because I do believe racism is different in other places. It's played out differently and it has a different basis. Okay? It's still essentially white versus everybody else, but like you said, when you get to China, it's Chinese versus everybody else. But then is that racism? Well, not the same way that we think of racism in the West, inside of the United States of America. But it could be the same, like if you get into the Caribbean, maybe if you get into Latin America, not really sure. I know they have colorism, because it's like what we saw in China. Chinese person and a Chinese person, but two different shades of Chinese people, and they're going to treat each other differently based on those shades. And that's the colorism.
The lady that we worked with in Mexico City, she was blonde hair, blue-eyed, born in Mexico, but her ancestors were from Spain, and she said that she was always bullied as a kid, and she was discriminated against as an adult for being blonde hair, and blah, blah, blah. That she's not Mexican enough.
Right.
She's not.
Well,
she's not Mexican enough.
What is it? When you say enough,
she should have dark hair. She should have dark eyes. She should have darker skin because she looked like me.
Right. She was okay. Gotcha. Not indigenous enough.
Right. She looks Spanish, according to them, or European.
Right. European. Yes. I mean, now, in today's environment, if you have a black store owner and a white person walks in, can that black store owner discriminate against that white person?
Yes, they can.
Yes, absolutely. Discriminate. Yes, but that means when you're talking about just discrimination, just treating you a certain way because you are other, everybody can do that. I mean, a man can do it to a woman, a dog can do it to a cat. Everybody can discriminate.
A Christian does it to everybody who isn't.
Well, a Muslim does it to a Christian. I mean, discrimination is discrimination.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It's just basically what you're saying is you're not like me, so I'm going to treat you differently than I would treat somebody who I deem like me. Which means, you could be transsexual and then...
Transgender.
What's different?
One is an older way of saying it.
I'm an older way of a person.
And one is the new.
Yeah, exactly. See, one person could be of one sexual orientation and be discriminatory towards someone else who's not straight. Of course. So I guess that's the problem. But we're now starting to hear people that want to be. They want to be included. Like they feel the same outrage. And I'm talking only about white folks. They feel the same outrage, like, this is wrong. This should not continue. We don't like this. It's like, but the only way that it's going to go away is you have to get rid of your own white privilege. Like, you have to not be accepting of white privilege or white supremacy.
And you have to acknowledge that white privilege is an actual...
But I don't think, of the people who are woke enough, they're not disputing that. I don't think that's not where their problem is. But they are, like what was it? Was it Portland? Somewhere it was Seattle. Somewhere out there they were having big demonstrations, and somebody was on the news and they were saying, you guys are, they're having these demonstrations, but there are no black folks over there, but they're demonstrating for black lives, but they're all white folks.
Yeah.
And there were more, what did the one guy say? There were more Black Lives Matter signs than there were black people in the city.
Yeah.
And so it seems a bit disingenuous. To in your enclave be screaming Black Lives Matter, but you have no black people with you. They're not there. So you're just saying it's like lip service at some point. You're really not a part of a movement because you have nobody to help or save. Because you've pushed them all out.
Okay.
They were there at one time.
So
you see the problem?
I have a problem with this save. Because we have the white savior coming.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just being a person.
An ally?
Yeah. Well, just we live next door to people of all different, like a diverse community. So we have a diverse community, and when something happens, we all stand up for everyone in our community. That does not happen.
No.
Okay?
It doesn't.
It's usually more like there's one or two black families and maybe another kind of person, their family, and it's in the thing, but they are definitely in the minority and they're treated that way. And then when something happens, it's like, good, we wanted them gone anyway. So in this gentrified area that I'm speaking of, that I can't remember the name of, that's what was happening. The area was black at one time. Gentrification happened. It's now mostly almost all white, but they're the ones screaming Black Lives Matter. And black folks had to come in their cars to come back into the area to even participate in the thing that was supposedly for them.
Okay.
You see, I'm not talking about anybody saving anyone, but I am talking about the fact that it just doesn't. How does that help anyone? You won't even live around the people that you're talking about should have the same rights as you. What? See, it's easy to throw up a sign that says Black Lives Matter when all your neighbors throw up signs that say Black Lives Matter.
Right.
It's very hard to do that when everybody else has a Trump sign out and you throwing up the Black Lives Matter sign. Then you tend to hide or just be silent. And that helps no one.
Right.
You know. So as far as being racist, this is, so many people try to say something is racist, but they're not talking worldwide. They're talking my locality. Because what is seen as racist in Mississippi is not going to be the same thing, the same actions and reactions. It may not be the same thing that you might see in Norway. You know what I'm saying? It's just because the cultures are different.
Right.
And it's not the same thing that you would see, like, say, Mississippi and New York. It may not be the same. In one place, it could be seen as totally and whenever we talk about racism, we're always talking about how the person who is quote unquote racist thinks and feels.
Yeah.
Without ever knowing how the person thinks or feels, we're only using their actions to say what that person thought or felt.
Right.
And that's where the problem always comes in, because that person can always then come back and say, I didn't think or feel any of those things.
Right.
But they're acting on certain impulses based on white supremacy, and that's why that term is so important, because now you're saying, oh, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. You're doing it because you have an inherent belief that you may not even realize you believe of your superiority to the people around you. And then that's the whole Karen thing.
Hey, I didn't do it.
But that's what that is. You see, those people are acting, they would, I'm sure that most of those people that we call Karens today, those women, that most of them would say they're not racist.
Oh, I don't think they have the nerve to say that.
No, but that's exactly what they would say. In their thought process about themselves and what they think about people around them, they would say, I'm not racist. You just should not be able to walk your dog here. It's like, why shouldn't I be able to walk my dog here? Because I'm running here. And your dog scares me. So you're not allowed to be here.
Right, because
doing what you're doing because I'm scared. See, they don't realize that is what we all recognize as racism, because her reasoning is because of the person's race. Not because if it was a white person walking their dog, they would never say anything.
No, they wouldn't.
You see, that becomes the problem. But they don't recognize themselves as being racist. And
right.
That's the problem that black folks have seen going way back. I mean, you would have, even in our films, you'd have slave owner, his wife, and his wife thinking that she was being good to those people by giving them cornbread or being nice to the young boy or young girl, or letting the young slave girl play with her young daughter. And now, it's the kizzy thing. Roots. That idea, and then all of a sudden, that when I watch it, nothing is good about that, because you know that girl is going to grow up and she's going to own that person. Whereas other people see it as, oh, look how good they are. They're so good to their slaves. They're so good to black people. And that idea of being good to, being caretakers of, like being caretakers of the horse or caretakers of the cow, that idea is what still exists in the United States today. And it may not be the same in other parts of the world. Those dynamics may not exist the same way. And that's, I think, why we have a difference in terms.
But does that negate the racism? Because the terms...
What do you mean by negate racism?
Well, you're saying that racism can only happen in the U.S., basically.
No,
I'm not. I'm only talking about the U.S. It's not that racism can't exist other places, but it's not going to have the same historical nature as it does in the U.S. See, I think the closest thing outside of the U.S. to what I'm talking about, and when I say the U.S., I'm talking about the Caribbean and the U.S. I'm talking about all of that, because basically that area, which for some reason black folks in America rarely talk about the Caribbean, all of that kind of had the same stuff happening. Because, like, the people were being moved back and forth throughout. Okay, so it's kind of a different thing. I would lump them all together. Different, maybe based on locale, different based on the crop that they were growing, different based on, maybe if it was a Portuguese thing or a British thing or a French thing, but it still is the same idea
Dutch.
all throughout, in the Dutch, all throughout. But then you get to South Africa. And in South Africa, I would say that at least up through the time of Mandela, their type of what we call apartheid, that was more like what happened in the United States. It was closer, but then in other parts of Africa, I don't think it was the same, because they were colonized. So you get African countries that they today speak only French, or speak only, what's the other language that's there? Dutch, French. What's the other languages of
Afrikaans is a mixture
that's
of Dutch,
South Africa.
But that's Dutch and
I think there was another one. French. I said that.
Yeah.
French.
I know that, like,
I'm thinking of another language, but I can't think of the language.
I know, like, Morocco, there's like people speak French and Arabic.
Okay, but
There's, like,
that's going back to a whole nother thing that
Right.
you don't want to get into today.
There are like different sections.
The Arab and the slavery of Africa. That's a whole nother problem. Y'all don't want to go there. Nobody wants to talk about that.
English, French, Portuguese.
That's it. English, French, Portuguese. And the Dutch in South Africa with Afrikaans, but that's a mixture. Portuguese. So I don't know. I do see it as different, and I think this is what, as well, when we think of the diaspora, that problem of where does it come from? What is the historical relevance here? I think that becomes a reason for black folks and to have an issue around the world. I have them right here. These are your dirty stuff.
You want something?
We gotta get our stuff. Our loot for the day. You guys can talk to me, loot. You don't have to be quiet. You can talk to the people.
I thought you were gonna cut this out.
Why?
He never cuts this out.
Oh no, I cut up. Well, I rarely cut things out.
Yeah.
Like very rarely cut things out.
You used to cut things out when you'd be like, let's move the light. Be
So-
silent. Be silent. So I could move the light, and then you cut it, and the light would be in a different spot. The
I've
camera.
never done that.
Yes, the
Yes, you
camera.
have.
What
You
are you
did do that.
talking about?
In Mexico City, you did that. Where you wanted the camera to be moving throughout the podcast, and you get up and say stop. And
Oh yeah,
you
that
move
was
the
what, a
camera.
one-time thing?
Yeah. I did that once.
Because we lose all flow of
Yeah.
the podcast when we do that. All right, so what do you guys think about the racism?
I already
Talk to
told
the
you what
people.
I thought, and you told me I was wrong. So
No, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just trying to get. Come on. The
I've
people,
given you
the
my
people.
thoughts, and I think that it's more than just in the U.S. because you've experienced situations like in Thailand where you applied for a position that you were overqualified for and you didn't get it because they gave it to the blonde Russian girl and they needed a native English speaking teacher and clearly she wasn't a native English speaking teacher. But they gave it to her because she was white and you were not.
Okay, but
That's,
who was making the decision?
I don't know who it was. I don't.
No, let's think about it. Who
But
was
also,
making the decision?
in Thailand, they would do that to a Thai person who's darker.
Correct. But who was making the decision about who got the job?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, you do.
No, I don't
Where
know.
was the job?
Okay, Aaron, I didn't know if the person that was hiring was Thai or British or what.
Where was the job?
In Thailand, at
No,
the
no, where?
university.
At the university. That means the person was Thai. Now, why would a Thai person make that choice?
Racism.
No!
Why would they make the choice then?
Because I think probably, who got the job?
The young blonde girl who was unqualified from Russia.
That's why. You're talking about a problem of nationality and color.
And how is that not racism?
Because it's
Tell me how that's
it's
not.
color that is making the determination. They are making this decision because of the optics of having a person that's brown versus a person that's white.
And
That's not racism. See, racism has to do with really another way of saying ethnicity, right?
They discriminated according to the definition, discriminating based on your ethnicity
I don't
and
think so.
your color.
No, because if I was American and white, I could have gotten that job.
But you were an American and black.
Right.
And you didn't get the job because you were an American
Color.
and black.
Color.
Part of racism is color.
I know, but
Discriminating based on color.
I don't.
That is
but see,
racism.
But
But doesn't racism have to do with, I think I'm better than you?
see,
Yes.
But he didn't think he was
But
better
that's
than
not-
Daddy.
that's-
He had a whole different dynamic because if Daddy was
How do you
Thai
know
and
what
the
he
same
thought?
color, if he was Thai and that man was Thai, he would have made the same choice.
But does that man then think the white woman is better than Daddy, even though she has
yes, but
no?
okay, but
Maybe,
if,
but that's
see,
not the same.
If you were at the British school and the British man
Uh-huh.
made the decision that you're talking about, would that be racism?
Yep.
Now, if a Thai person, a Thai woman, makes that decision to pick the white woman from Russia over the black guy from America, what is that?
Same thing.
It can't be.
Why can't it
Because
be?
it's not the same. It's not the person's internal feelings are not going to be the same.
If she
Because
thinks,
because she's not identifying with either one of us.
But if
Right.
she thinks that the white woman is better than the black man,
no,
But racism
But
doesn't say
she's not-
Keegan's better than Daddy.
no,
Racism
she's
is
not
I'm better
coming
than you.
to that thing with the feeling like it's personal, like it's inside, like I'm better, meaning. So, for example,
like me is
you
better.
say, I'm better than everybody. My daughter is going to be better than everybody too. Why? Because she's got light skin.
If you identify with one side of it,
I think that is a
then-
part of this problem of when we take racism that is racism's not American, but our kind of racism is distinct, I think, in the world.
I would love to hear what the people have to say. I would love to hear it because I'm telling you, when I look at the definition and I look at the
Yeah.
situations that we have encountered over the years, and
But you're talking about outside of America, right?
inside and outside.
Well, inside there's really no question.
But there's no difference really
No.
in the way that
But
we've
there-
been treated.
But there is a difference because of the historical nature of the problem. There
Do you
is a
think
huge
that
difference.
virus of racism has not permeated the rest
But
of
that's
the
not what we're
world
talking about.
based on how America has portrayed black folks?
No, I think it's based on how Britain has
Okay.
portrayed people out that weren't British.
Do you think that it doesn't
White
affect
Britain.
other people in other countries and how
No, I think
and
it
how
does,
they
but I don't think
treat
that's what we're talking about.
American blacks?
No, I think it does.
Then how
But I
is
don't.
it not
But
racism?
but because it's not coming from the same. Look, okay, so
Oh,
every day I would
love
go to work, and I'd be riding my little scooter to work, and I'd see this dude going the opposite direction every single day. Gigantic fro. I'm talking like out here, just big, giant fro. He was definitely Thai, and he was riding the opposite direction. I see him every day. His hair was. He looked like, you know, the Dr. J going up to the Dunkin'. Whoa. Okay, now. If he was darker than me, is thinking that the British person, white-skinned British person, is better than me, that's not racism. That's something else. And it might be something we don't have a name for. Because he's not self-identifying with that British person. He's not British. He is definitely Thai. He is darker than me, but he sees me as lesser than that guy. You see what I mean? That's something else. I don't know what you would call that, though.
I don't think you're right.
When you're talking outside of the United States, when you're
and I
talking
think that's
outside
where
of the
we have
world.
a problem with naming and shaming someone as a racist. Is that there is
But wait,
no...
where are we talking about? Because inside the United States, I would say that most people are pretty clear. Inside the United States, because it does have a cultural context.
Okay, I don't think that it is limited to those borders.
I'm not saying it's limited, but I
I
do
think-
say that, just like, for example, there was a brand of slavery that was in Europe prior to going to the United States, prior to going to the New World. Okay, that they had it for a very long time. There was a brand of a type of quote unquote slavery that was all across the entire planet, whereas basically serfdom, it had other names. Okay,
Indentured servitude.
well, that was dealing with the New World. Pull back and get away from the New World for a moment.
The Vikings had slaves.
Everybody had people taken to work for other people that were not seen as having their own free will and they were bound to another person. Okay? That's what we think of as slavery. But they didn't have necessarily, in all cases, the idea of, in all cases, ownership. That person works for me, they're bound to me, or they're bound to the land, but I don't own that individual life. Okay, that's something that was definitely a part of slavery inside of the United States and the Caribbean, blah, blah, blah. But there's also the issue that what binds you to be, what makes you a slave is your color. And that's a very American thing. That idea by itself is the American, because you could be in Africa, be of the same color, but you are my worker. You are bound to the land and you work for me. But we're of the same color. You might be from a different tribe, but we're the same, essentially the same people, right? It happened with the Native Americans inside of the United States. Same idea, okay? But it was not until we get here well, not here, when these people get there to the United States, to the New World, that then all of a sudden we have to, because you had indentured servitude and you had black folks that were indentured servants and they could buy their freedom at the end of that indentured servitude, just like all the white folks that came over with them, they could. And they did not want those two groups of people coming together, because it would hurt the landowners. Because, of course, a landowner is one person, but he's got many people working for him. All of a sudden, you let them all buy their freedom, they are going to have much more in common with each other than with you. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So, how do you split that group up? You give them different rules. And what are you going to base those rules on? Skin color. Because that's what they were doing. They based those rules on, if you're dark-skinned, you're over here, you are a separate class of people. You over here, you can go on and become whatever it is you want to become after your indentured servitude time. And then, once the indentured servitude becomes a thing that even black folks can't take advantage of anymore, boom. Now you're bound to being a slave because of your skin color. Nothing else you can't be released from that. And when the North splits off and starts saying you can be free and black, and the South is like, hey, whoa, no, this is not a thing we can do. You have a war because you're changing the culture. Okay. When you look at a place like Thailand, that's not where they came from.
That doesn't mean that they don't have the same mentality.
No, they don't. They might think white is better than black. I agree with that 100% because that's the same rationale for basically, honestly, the world.
Yeah.
I mean, Garvey talked about that in Jamaica.
Yep.
You know, and this is where we start talking about colorism. And I think this is where the biggest problem comes in with people around the world trying to use one term. Because the historical relevancy is not equal. It's not the same. What that black boy in Mississippi feels and thinks and sees as his possibilities and his future and all of those things, it's definitely not the same as some black person anywhere else in the world. It is a different thing. You know, and I think in thinking about culture and thinking about people, we have to acknowledge the fact that there might be something that is specific to a particular place. And that thing over there might need a new name. And then when you go to China and you see how they treat other ethnicities outside of the Han Chinese, what is that? See,
why isn't it different?
No.
Why isn't it the same name?
Because I don't think it has
It's a different ethnicity.
One, it has nothing to do with race because race is not real. So now they consider them different ethnicities, right?
Yeah.
But then what would that thing be called when you discriminate against someone based on their different ethnicity? What is that called for China? Because it's not going to be the same as what it's called in Egypt. Because you know Egypt, we talked about this, doesn't look like the rest of Africa. Going back to that Arab thing. So you see what I'm saying? All I'm saying is there probably needs to be a better, more descriptive term. I don't know what that would be though. But back to my question, is it only inside of America, is it only white folks that can be racist?
Yes.
No.
There you go. Got anything else for the people?
No. That's enough to leave them with.
That's it? You don't have to do that. She's fine. Relax.
You don't have anything else on your list?
No.
That was it. That was
No,
the
I
whole
literally had to. That's it. That's all I got. And your mother apparently does not want to make lists anymore. She has boycotted all lists.
I haven't boycotted. I just haven't done it.
Sounds like a boycott to me.
I'm trying to think of what else we did.
We did nothing else. We got
Took
our
the
lunch.
laundry to the laundrette.
I shopped at the Sainsbury's. Aaron got to watch Gogglebox. Gogglebox is hilarious.
Getting to did because there was no else.
We watched the Bake Off real time for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And I'm sad because it got interrupted with the whole paramedic situation.
Oh. But didn't it come on again? A different day?
No,
You sure?
I didn't see
Like a
it.
different day, different time?
Uh-uh.
You didn't look? Because you could go on your device thing and probably find out what the programming was for that
TV
particular
guide.
for that channel and probably see when it got run again. You've so not been with TV for so long you forgot that these things happen.
Yeah.
That you can look up what's coming on and when.
I forgot about the whole rerun phenomenon because we were sitting here and we watched one episode of a show. And
8
then
out of 10 cats does countdown.
And then other things played, and then it went back to that same episode that we just watched. And it's like, oh.
And you laugh
That's-
just as
that's
hard the
weird.
second time as you
And
did
that
the
happens
first.
because when you're watching on YouTube, so you don't get that.
Unless you just watch the video again.
Exactly. All right, that's it. That's all you got. If you want to find the traveling fars, you can find us in London. Hopefully, we won't be here
Next weekend.
this time next week. You can also find us on the YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever awesome podcasts are sold for free at The Traveling Fars. If you like the Instagram or the Twitters, speaking of Instagram,
We're
Y'all
at
need-
999.
we were at
We
999.
still are, I just checked.
So
If you want to be the
you guys need to go on
1,000th
over to the Instagram
subscriber.
and follow us.
follower. Yeah, the 1,000th.
She doesn't know the difference between subscribing and following and all that kind of stuff. Follow us on the Instagrams at Traveling Fars. If you like the email or the Twitter or the email, you can email Karen at travelingfars@gmail.com. Do we ever get emails at travelingfars@gmail.com?
We do, actually.
We never hear about them.
Um,
You never update us or tell us that we got an email. So basically, I've been saying it all this time,
they're
thinking that
usually
we
for
never got an email.
ambassador stuff.
Okay, so why are we not ambassador ring?
Some of them aren't appropriate for us.
Why aren't they appropriate? We have a family-friendly adult show here.
Some of them are not appropriate for us. So,
Like
some
what? Being an ambassador of a dildo enclave?
Boudoir photography.
I'm sorry, Sequel. No.
I mean, come on. Why are they not?
They just aren't.
How are they not? I mean, they don't want to give us money because we'll take their money and talk about their stuff. We don't care. Why would they not be?
I'll make you your own commercial.
I mean, if they send us the items and we need to try it out, we'll try it out.
Make you your own commercial.
If we like it, then we can talk about it, right? If we don't like it, maybe somebody else might like it and we can tell them about it.
Plus, if,
How are they
if
not
the
appropriate
product
for
is
us?
bad and we test it, then we can totally tell
Well, some of
everybody
them
that
are-
they suck.
Sometimes
But not if they give you money.
they want you to buy the thing and then.
That's not ambassadorship.
And
then.
then-
That's
So
selling.
I don't.
No,
I
no,
don't.
that's not ambassadorship. That's
No.
selling.
But that's here. Use this. You know.
Use
Buy
this
this-
coupon code to give us your money.
Yeah.
That's not an ambassador. That's
You
not what that is.
have to give us the coupon code so we tell the fans to use our code
Yes,
on
and-
your thing.
right.
And then we get paid every time they use the code.
Duh.
That's how you do it.
That's how it goes down. It's
So
not. So if
whoever's
we
doing
have to,
the other
if
way,
we have to pay
that's
for
not-
it, that's just us buying something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an ad.
Right. That's an ad.
But some of them are not things that they're not things we use. Like
It doesn't
some-
matter if we use it or not. We can try. We can start
Somebody might use it, and we could just be the person
telling them about it.
Sorry, but we can't use supplements with beef in them.
Yes, but we don't have to use them. We could just get their information
That's-
and tell them about it. Because
That's-
most of them out there eat the beef.
Make you your own ad.
You see what I'm saying? Yes, we can do that. I don't
I
know.
can-
You better
I
better
can make
better
a
not be
beef
too stringent
supplement.
on the ads so that we can
Are you kidding me? I could make a beef supplement ad like right now.
You want to make a beef supplement ad?
I could.
Who thinks about the fact that I can make a beef supplement ad?
Aaron
Oh,
does.
if it's just funny, I can make anything out of it.
You want to be Rhett and Link, don't you?
Yeah,
Hold on. All right.
I can do it.
Email her. travelingfars@gmail.com. If you want to check out the blog space, that's where all of the past episodes are. That's why it's so important to go there, because when you go to the iTunes or the Spotify or the Google Podcast or whatever that you're listening to us on, you're only going to get the last few, maybe 5 to 10. You're not going to get all the ones going back to 2017. So if you want to check those out,
You want to see where we started?
the travelingfars.blueberry.net. No E's in the blueberry.
And if you want to become a patron, then go to patreon.com/thetravelingfars. We got goodies for you.
Now we have tiers.
We got tiers. You could ride
Not
in a minivan.
these kinds of tiers, but like different levels of sponsorship that you can take part in. We have one, as far as I know, one.
Here it is, the scroll
patron.
right there.
Please don't do that. You just make yourself look like an absolute idiot.
It's one name. You
No.
can do that pretty easily.
No, it's not so easy.
Yeah, you
Not in Fillmore, it's not.
Sure it is. There's movement. There's things that you can put on the text. I'm
I'm gonna make him edit a whole video and then he'll see. All right.
Don't make me edit a video, because
Where else
it'll
can
be
people
so cut
give
up.
us the monies?
The GoFundMe.
Yeah, come on, tell the people, man. Don't talk like you're normal, like that.
Sorry,
Like I'm
I'm
checking
trying-
for audio levels.
The GoFundMe at the Traveling Fars. Is it still moving to Poland?
Oh God, I don't know.
I changed it, but
Nah, it didn't change. But just go to GoFundMe, look for the Traveling Fars. How about that?
yeah.
If you do that, you'll find us, and then you can help you have a good podcast experience. You like that, don't you? Go ahead, say you like that. That was pretty neat.
On Patreon, you can ride in a minivan or fly in a
We
plane.
did it. We got our 1,000th follower just now.
Wow.
Who was it? Shout them out.
No, don't shout them out. You always want to shout out people.
Well,
No, we're not going to shout them out. But we've got 1,000 followers on Instagram, so now we're so cool. We only have like 600 and something on the Facebook.
what do we have on YouTube? 4? The 4 of us.
No, because the four of us don't watch our stuff. I watch our stuff. I comment on our stuff. You guys don't even comment on my comment.
Nope.
See? Black YouTube matters. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Say goodbye to people.
Bye, people. Have a great weekend.
Peace. 2 fingers. Oh God. Really? You gonna do it again?